So the next concept is C++ variables. What is the C++ variables and why do we need these variables in the C++ program? So the variables are nothing but it is a name given to a data. It just stores the value of a raw data. So whenever in this example, so I'm taking x is equals to 10. So what is the variable? Variable is the x. So x is used as a variable to store the data. So data is nothing but any raw data or unprocessed information is considered as a data. Okay, so whenever we store this kind of data and we can use this variable name which gonna replace the 10 value 10 in the whole program. So there is no need to write whole program or whole value once again. So 10 might be easy for you to write. So let me take another example called as pi. So pi value is 3.1427. So this kind of information cannot be rewritten every time. So the value e seems to be very big. So it cannot be rewritten every time. Instead of rewriting the things, we just use a variable to store the data. And we use this pi instead of this value. So the variables are kind of a containers for storing the data values. In C++, there are different types of variable. So let us learn about these different types of variables in detail. So what is this different type of variables? So there are int type, float, double, char, and string. So now what is this int, float, double, char, and string? So let us take an example for each and everything and we're gonna learn this. Okay. So before going to explanation, let me tell you that int is nothing but stores integer. So now what is the integer? Integer are nothing but the whole numbers, which is not having any decimal points. So it is not having any decimal points. It is considered as a whole number, such as 1, 2, 3 is a integer. And also minus 1 to 3 is also considered as integer. So these kind of data can be stored using the int. So now float. So what is a float? It is used to store the floating point. So what is the floating point? It's just opposite to the integer. It just stores the floating decimal. So if I have something, a number called as 10.12 or 10 minus 10.12. So these kind of data can be stored using the floating point. And double. So double is also similar to the floating point. Instead that the float only restricted to some decimal points after the point. Whereas double allows us to give the store the value of this decimal point after a large number. Okay. So when you consider this double and I write double. And when I take an example called as 10.0001, so these kind of informations can be stored. So here we are having 5 decimal points. So when you write this decimal points, it cannot truncate any value. Instead, we will be getting the whole decimal points. So this is the only difference between the float and the double. Now, so what is char? So char is nothing but a character. Now, what is a character? Character is something which is used for alphabets. Okay, so we can store single character such as A. So A is a character or A is a alphabet. In similar, A is a alphabet and also we can store the capital letters, the uppercase letters, and so these kind of characters can be used using this char keyword. Whereas string, string, string stands for string data type. So string is nothing but whenever you want to store set of characters. For example, admin. So now what I'm doing, I'm storing the name called as admin inside the string. So these kind of data can be stored using the string. So there is one important point. So whenever you're trying to store some value in the date inside the C++ program, you need to specify these data types clearly, because without specifying these data types, you cannot store the values as you wish. Okay, so if at all you are willing to store 5 decimal points or 7 decimal points after this number, so you need to use the appropriate double, but you cannot use int to store these many floating points, because int can only store 1 2 3, like without decimal points. So this is a small example for variables. Now let us see how to declare a variable and how we can use this variable in our program. So when I consider this program, a program which is written previously, so here you might observe I have written int a. So now what is int a? You can understand this. A is of integer type. So I have assigned a is equals to 100. So I have given a value called as 100 and I am rewriting it. So similarly, you can assign some value here. So I'm assigning 1, 2, 3, and once I assign, there is no need to write this scene because we have already given some value to A. Now, when I save and run the program, let's see what happens now. Okay, I think there's error. Okay, so as you can see here, the value is printed. So what is this? We are trying to print the value of A. Just ignore the previous set of statements. It might be executed because of some time error. So just ignore the last statements and please concentrate on the last set of statements which we are getting. So this is the end result. Okay, so what we wanted to print the value of A. So you can also check to see like this. So the value of A equals, so I want to print the value of A, and I'm going to save this and run the program. So as you can see, the value of A is equals to 123. And so A is of integer type. So let's see, when I give some decimal points, what happens? Okay, so I'm giving 1 to 1 as a decimal points, but I'm declaring that A is of int type. So I'm going to save this and run. Let's see what happens now. Still, the value of A is 123. So, but I wanted something called as 1 to 1. So, where is that 1 to 1 now? I'm not able to find that dot 1 to 1. So, that is truncated. Okay. So, that is truncated by the compiler because we have declared that A is of integer type and integer only supports the whole number and not the decimal points. Okay, so now what I will be doing, so as you want, we will be using the double and we will be declaring that double is of data type double. Now say the program and run the program. So let's see. See, the value of A is 123 dot 121. So everything is printed here because we are telling the compiler that A is of double. Okay. So similarly, let us take an example for a variable now. And while declaring the variable, you can, this is a one way to declare a variable, or else you can also declare something like this. So I'm declaring A and B here. So in the next line, once you declare the A and B, I'm gonna assign some value to A and also to B. Make sure you end every number with semicolon. So I'm assigning the value of A and B here. So let me just add this A plus B value sum equals. So I'm going to add this A and B and I'm going to print the value of A and B. So let's see what happens now. So the sum is 101.111. Okay. So whenever you're declaring some variable and you can assign the variable in the next line or in the wherever you want. So make sure whenever you're using the variables, whenever you're using some new variable, you need to declare it before using it. Okay. Or else you might end with an error. So I will be taking C and C will be assigned to 22. So let's check because I haven't declared the C anywhere in the program. Okay, but I'm trying to assign the C with 22. So what happens in this case? So there is an error because C does not have a name type. So before using any variable, it is must to declare the variable of which kind of data type it is. Okay, without that, you might be ending the with an error if at all you're not declaring it anywhere in the program. And there is a one more important point to remember that declaration only happens in the first two lines. Okay, so you cannot declare. So the declaration happens in these lines. So as we have discussed, there is a few more data types to be discussed. That is char and string. So what is this char and string? So let us discuss with char and string by taking an example here. Okay. So now what I will be doing, I will be taking a char, char of my letter is P before dog. Okay. So when you try to take this char my letter P, you can just output my letter by giving semicolon. So this is the way you can use the char integer. So this is the variable. So here what is the variable? So here my letter is the variable. Whereas here A, B and C acts as a variables. So variables are what? Variables are something which can use to store the data.